ready to learn about image transfer, this is one of my favorite things to discuss and teach in workshops. And if you follow me on social media, you'll see me post a lot of transfer projects because it's so fun and the possibilities are endless with all of the images out there online right now. So whenever I share a picture of a transfer project, I always get a million questions and emails about, how do you do this? What product do you use? Where do you find your images? So today I'm going to share the answers to all of those questions with you. I'm also going to walk you through the steps I use to create this sign. And this is just an old cabinet door. So lots of possibilities here. The transfers can be done on most wood surfaces. So use your imagination. There's so much you can do with it. So thanks for joining me, and let's get started on this project. So here you can see I have painted my cabinet door in white. I'm applying Artisan Enhancements transfer gel with a top coat brush. It's not critical that you use a top coat brush, but I think it's important to get a smooth, even application of transfer gel. And you want to apply a fairly liberal amount, and don't let it sit and dry before you apply your image. Otherwise your transfer is just not going to work. So you want to quickly have your paper ready. You can see my words are reversed. If you have any text on your image, you want to make sure that you print a reversed copy. Now, the image needs to be printed on a laser printer. It will not work on your home inkjet printer. So I've put the image face down. I'm smoothing out any wrinkles, really adhere it well to your board. And I'm wiping off the excess gel that's kind of squeezed off the side so we don't have to deal with that later. Artisan Enhancement suggests that you wait 24 hours after applying your image with the transfer gel before you start removing the paper fibers. I typically wait a little bit longer. I feel like I've had better results when I let the gel sit for 3 or 4 days. But maybe it's in my head. I don't know. But that's kind of my rule of thumb. So once your piece has sat for at least 24 hours, take a damp cloth or a wet sponge and just dampen the paper enough so that you can start rubbing the paper fibers away. You don't want to douse it with water, but just get it damp. So I'm using my fingers, as you can see, to roll away the paper fibers. Be really careful not to rub too hard and try to resist the urge to peel paper off. That doesn't usually end well. So what's happening here, the image, the ink from the image is actually sitting on top of the gel. So you don't want to rub so hard that you rub away the gel. The idea is to rub away just the paper so that the graphic design is sitting and staying on top of the gel. So you have these layers. But on the other hand, you don't want it to be too perfect. If you're going for a perfect image on your piece, then I would opt for a decoupage project. I think the beauty and the charm of image transfer is that the image is actually on your piece and there might be little bits of it missing, which gives it that character, makes it look old and aged, and I love that effect. And I think most of you, if you're following me, that's kind of your aesthetic as well. I think it's really fun to watch the image transfer process kind of in fast forward and see the image unfold. So while you're continuing to watch the paper being rubbed away, I wanted to go back and touch on a few more of the questions that I get about the transfer process. So first of all, people are always asking where I find my images. Now, the internet is an endless source of graphics and images. You have to be careful about copyrights if you're using this for something that you're going to resell. But there's a great resource in Etsy shops. There's a lot of wonderful graphic designers out there who are some are using vintage images, others are using their handiwork, their painting skills or their calligraphy skills, and uploading them to their computer to share them as files for you to use in your craft projects. Most of these you can buy the use of for just a couple dollars. So that's usually my go-to, other than the graphicsfairy.com, which I'll put a link in my post with this video for you to use. If you're not familiar with the Graphics Fairy, she has tons of great vintage antique images for you to pull from. But I do have some favorite Etsy shops. My very favorite one is the one that this Flakes of Snow graphic came from. I have collected a lot of her images over the years, and I am going to provide you with a link to her shop as well. So what you will do is purchase the use of the image, download it to your computer, save it in a file, and then email the image, attach the image file to an email and direct it to your printer. So your printer can be, the UPS store, Office Depot, Office Max, Kinko's, whoever you have in your community that has a big professional printer machine and does prints and copies for people. Most of them are set up to receive emails. So, and they'll do all the legwork for you. So if you're not real comfortable with reversing an image or sizing an image, just tell them what you need. They're really good at manipulating the image for you to get what you want. So you might have to get on the phone with them and ask them for their email address, but it's really easy to do, and I feel like this is what stumps people most of the time. They see the transfer tutorial, they want to give it a try, but they're not sure how to get that laser printed image. So I'm just letting you know those are the steps. It's easy to do, and your possibilities are endless when it comes to graphics to choose from. So like I said, I'm going to provide you with some links in my blog post with this tutorial video. I also wanted to talk quickly about paper. Now, I have found that it works best to use a heavier paper, not a cardstock, but something in between your typical printer paper and cardstock. And most of your printers are going to have a wide variety of papers for you to choose from depending on the size of your image. I typically ask for a 26-pound paper or something around there. So keep that in mind when you go to order your prints. Another thing I wanted to mention was that if your paper doesn't fill your entire surface, you're likely to get some halo lines is what they call them. So lines where there was the edge of the paper you'll see on your piece. I typically will take a fine grit sandpaper and just lightly sand those away as much as possible. Sometimes I even sand very lightly over the entire image just to distress it a little bit more. Once you're completely finished removing the paper fibers and you've sanded your halo if that's needed, it's time to either layer on another layer of art finish, maybe a stain or a glaze, or it's time to seal your finish. You can use either Artisan Enhancements Clear Top Coat Sealer or a clear finish for a little more sheen, or you can use wax. And today I'm actually going to use a couple different waxes. So I wanted to use some dark wax to age the piece, but I'm starting with a layer of clear wax first. And then I'm going to come back with a small detail brush and add some dark wax, primarily just around the edges, but a little bit over the image as well, to really give this board an aged effect. And once I've put the dark wax on, I'll come back with clear wax just to lighten it up in a few areas. And then I'm done with this piece. I'll put some hangers on the back and it's ready to go up on the wall or sit in a cute stand in a tabletop display. So that's basically it for the image transfer process. I know it can be intimidating. It's tedious work, but once you get the hang of it, I think you'll really enjoy it. Like I said before, you can use color images or black and white, but I'll say this, I think that starting with black and white is a good idea. You have less room for error if you start with a black and white image. So start there and work your way up to colored images. I will share the links in my post for the resources for graphics for you to choose from. I'll also share some other links where to purchase Artisan Enhancements Transfer Gel, and also some other tutorials that I've done in the past, and project inspiration, more inspiration for image transfer projects. Okay, thanks for joining me, and I'll be back with more tutorials soon. So have a great day.